Кюршат. Дорога ма. Инфо.
Так нет. Так да, такие же все, да он тебя понял. Да все серьезно, ты не шутишь, что ли, с ним?
То есть, как бы ты все делаешь. Да. Что значит нет? Все хорошо? Ну, да. Какой смысл? Ну нет, не надо вот этого. Ну типа это уже. Дай что ли писать? Не надо. Воспринимает еще вопрос, понимает его. На зло просто тебе, вот на зло это вам, да. Да, да. Нет, наоборот. Да, да. Да, да, она поняла. Вот это и есть оно самое. Типа это вот. Я не здесь причем. Как?
окей.
А я зачем? Здесь тоже все это. Какая нафиг разница, что делать? Нет, и что там? Так нет, там уже писал уже. Нам, да.
Even in the face of a pandemic, more Americans voted this election than ever before in American history. Over 150 million people cast their votes. I think that's just extraordinary. And if we had any doubts, we shouldn't have any longer about a government of, by, and for the people. It's very much alive in America. Here, the people rule. Power can't be taken or asserted. It flows from the people, and it's their will that determines who will be the President of the United States, and their will alone. And now, after a long night of counting, it's clear that we're winning enough states to reach 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency. I'm not here to declare that we've won, but I am here to report when the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners. With all the votes counted, we have won Wisconsin by 20,000 votes, virtually the same margin that President Trump won that state 4 years ago.
Thanks for checking out guitartricks.com recently. Quick question.
Et nous retrouvons tout de suite notre invité, Paul Shore. Bonjour et merci d'être avec nous. Vous êtes maître de conférence en civilisation américaine à l'université Paris 7. Donald Trump s'est exprimé hier. Il a annoncé assez rapidement qu'il avait gagné alors que le dépouillement est à l'heure actuelle toujours en cours. Il a parlé de fraude, a menacé de saisir la Cour suprême. Des recours en justice ont été déposés. Donald Trump sème le doute et se sert du mensonge comme mode de communication. Donald Trump fait du Donald Trump ?
Bah, tout à fait. En fait, il avait même annoncé plusieurs semaines avant les élections que c'est ce qu'il ferait, puisque, en fait, bon, on a beaucoup dit que les sondages s'étaient trompés. Cela dit, ce qui est en train de se passer en ce moment, c'est-à-dire que certains États, comme l'a dit le reportage, certains États ont d'abord donné Trump gagnant, et puis ensuite, les résultats s'inversent avec l'arrivée des votes par correspondance.
The winds fanning these flames are expected to last another 24 hours.
And in depth.
We now have 2 vaccine trials on hold. Should people be concerned?
NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Two days after the election, and the counting continues. Good morning, I'm Philip Mena.
Great to have you with us. Again, I'm Francis Rivera. Joe Biden has gained the edge over President Trump as the final votes are tabulated. Here are the numbers. Biden projected to pick up with their 253 electoral votes to Trump's 214. Biden has earned more popular votes than any other presidential candidate in history. The Democratic nominee is leading the overall vote count by more than 3.5 million. Several battleground states are coming down to the wire, none more closely watched than Pennsylvania, which is too close to call this morning. Biden has narrowed the president's lead in the critical Keystone State, and officials are still counting votes from several of the biggest and bluest counties.
Biden has rebuilt part of the blue wall, locking up apparent victories in 2 Midwestern states that Trump won in 2016. He is the projected winner in Wisconsin. The outcome there could depend on a potential recount and/or an official confirmation of the vote count. And NBC News has declared Biden the winner in Michigan. One of the major surprises of this race has been Georgia. That state is on the razor's edge this morning as outstanding votes are still being tallied there.
Mr. Trump has launched a legal battle to try and stop vote counting in Pennsylvania and Michigan. The campaign also staging a challenge in Georgia and demanding a recount in Wisconsin. For its part, the Biden campaign says it is ready for court fights and will counter any lawsuits.
Turning to Congress now, control of the Senate also up in the air this morning, but there are a few major developments. NBC News projects Democratic incumbent Senator Gary Peters of Michigan has won. Republicans had big hopes of picking up that seat. And while our decision desk says that Arizona, that Senate is too early to call, former astronaut and Democrat Mark Kelly has declared victory on Twitter, calling it an honor to serve in the seat once held by Senator John McCain. Republicans gained some ground in the House, but ultimately Democrats are projected to maintain control.
The Maricopa County Elections Department vowed to keep counting ballots through the night despite a loud protest forming right outside the door there in Arizona. A couple hundred people gathered, some of them carrying guns and chanting things like, "Where's the vote?" Many were supporters of the president who were upset that some news outlets had called Arizona for Joe Biden earlier on Wednesday.
Here in New York, police say a Count Every Vote rally was hijacked. The night began with a peaceful march, but NYPD reported that more than 20 people were arrested after most of the crowd went home. The group is accused of trying to light fires and throw eggs and garbage in Manhattan. Officers also say they confiscated weapons, including M80 explosives. Meanwhile, in Portland, Oregon, a protest escalated to the point that the Oregon National Guard was activated. The situation was declared a riot after windows were smashed out of businesses. Multiple people were seen being taken into custody, and police say they also found a loaded rifle.
All right, both campaigns, as you can imagine, getting very little sleep, as all of us. Also watching the results closely this morning. President Trump and Biden both sounding confident heading into the final stretch. We have team coverage this morning. Our Shannon Pettypiece is tracking President Trump. But first, let's get to Tracy Potts at Biden's campaign headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware. And Tracy, what are you hearing so far?
Well, we're hearing confidence from the Biden team and from the candidate himself. He was back here at the Chase Center, not for a victory speech, but making remarks about where the vote count stands at this point and striking a chord of unity about what a Biden presidency would look like if he wins.
It's clear that we're winning enough states to reach 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency. When the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners. And there will be no blue states and red states when we win, just the United States of America.
The Biden team says they've got lawyers ready to deal with any challenge, any legal challenge the president may bring to the vote counting. And as that continues in Pennsylvania and other states, they believe they have a path to victory, even if Biden does not win Pennsylvania. If he's able to pick up both Arizona and Nevada, that would land him right at 270 electoral votes. Francis?
Right, again, another day of the waiting and the counting and the watching. Tracy, thank you.
Let's switch.
Right. Nevada, that Pennsylvania, if he's able to, even if Biden does not win Pennsylvania, if he's able to pick up both Arizona and Nevada, that would land him right at 270 electoral votes. Francis?
Right, again, another day of the waiting and the counting and the watching. Tracy, thank you.
Let's switch gears now and get the latest on the Trump campaign's reaction to the results. NBC's Shannon Pettypiece is following the escalating legal fight. Shannon, good morning. We have not seen much of the president since election night, but his team has been very busy.
Right. And expect to see more of the president in the coming days. Our reporting indicates that aides and advisors have been encouraging the president to be out there, to be visible, to be reminding the American public that he is still the president as the count goes on and these legal challenges play out. We have, of course, heard from the president on Twitter, though, challenging the validity of this election, as well as some of the president's allies coming out and raising questions about fraud. The president's son, Eric Trump, and his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, held a press conference yesterday. Listen to what they had to say there.
This is fraud. This is absolute fraud. We're going to win Pennsylvania, but they're trying to cheat us out of it because they know it's their only path to victory.
All of you thought there was some kind of legitimate count going on here in Philadelphia. It was totally illegitimate. This is a concerted effort of the crooks that run the Democrat Party. This is beyond anything I've ever seen before.
Now, the president, for his part, said in one of his tweets, our lawyers have asked for, quote, meaningful access. But what good does that do? The damage has already been done to the integrity of our system and to the presidential election itself. This is what should be discussed, the president tweeted. Now, as far as the actual numbers of votes that are playing out, the campaign sees promising signs in Arizona. They think they are cutting into Biden's lead there and that votes are breaking at the rate they need to be able to declare a victory there. Pennsylvania, they acknowledge it's going to be close, but they're hoping that some more Trump country votes can come in. Georgia, however, they do think is going to be a nail biter that could potentially be in recount territory when all is said and done.
Shannon, what state do you think the Trump campaign thinks they have the strongest case here?
Well, I mean, as far as total votes go, I think they feel they have the strongest chance in Arizona. I've seen a lot of people tweeting overnight, Trump's allies liking where those numbers are going, seeing them cutting into the margins there. Legally, though, Pennsylvania, they have been going after really hard. They want to be able to stop ballots from being counted that came in after 8 p.m. on Election Day. It's something they were fighting before the election, though, to no success, and it's unclear if they're going to have any better chance now at getting those sort of late coming in absentee ballots, getting those from being thrown out of the tabulations.
All right, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, clearly, still ways to go in Pennsylvania. And you've just heard, it's a state that the president is counting on to put him over the top, especially with those legal battles. And it's not a surprise it's taking this long. NBC's Stephanie Gosk is there with details.
In Pennsylvania, they keep counting and counting hundreds of thousands of mail-in ballots.
I know it's tough for people to wait, and people are frustrated by the wait, but that is currently the situation we are in. I would ask that people be patient.
The largest number of untallied votes remains piled up in and around the state's biggest cities, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Statewide, 2.6 million votes were received in the mail, an unprecedented number. And by law, the counting could not begin until Election Day.
Counting votes cast by mail, if you're going to do it right and you're going to do it accurately, because there's no other choice, takes a little bit of time.
Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf anticipated the timing, even running an ad in the build-up to the election.
Counting that tremendous number of ballots will take more time than we're used to. We may not know the results today.
He looked to reassure the country.
I will do everything within my power to ensure that the results are fair and that every vote is counted.
President Trump's numbers were strong on Tuesday, especially in rural counties. The mail-in vote has so far favored Joe Biden, but there is a lot of ground for him to make up.
Mail-in votes are still coming in. They'll be accepted until Friday at 5 p.m. as long as they were mailed on or before Election Day.
Bethany, thank you.
Shifting now from the polls to the pandemic. For the first time ever, U.S. coronavirus infections have reached a record 100,000 new cases in one day, and we're now inching our way toward the 9.5 million mark. This is hospitalization surge across the Midwest and the Southwest. Our Miguel Almaguer has more.
In battleground states like Arizona, Wisconsin, and Texas, COVID was top of mind for many Americans this election, but it's front and center every day for doctors like Jason Mitchell.
This is the highest volumes that we've seen throughout this pandemic.
As many focus on election results, first responders are still struggling to save lives, with COVID cases climbing in 43 states.
We cannot afford to lose any more lives.
Colorado is now accepting patients from outside its borders, but like other regions, they too are facing a 100% spike in new cases. Though the mortality rate has improved, the volume in cases is accounting for an increase in deaths in 32 states.
And now, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, child COVID cases hit their highest one-week mark since the start of the pandemic, though fatalities are rare.
But the virus is still devastating. Jennifer Silik-Padana lost her parents in April. Married nearly 50 years, they died within days of one another.
It is a pain that I can't even begin to describe because there are a lot of days that it doesn't seem real.
For so many Americans, well after the election ends, the toll of the virus will still be felt. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Okay, a nice little short break from our coverage during the election to see how our Thursday is shaping up weather-wise. Here's Janessa Webb. Hi, Janessa. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is your moment of peace. We have a very quiet weather pattern across the lower 48, watching the northwest with a few showers. But first, let's talk about the northeast. You are waking up to temperatures. They're in the upper 40s to lower 50s. And that warm air, it's going to continue to shift into the Midwest, the northeast by later on today. Look at the 70s. It continues to be a takeover for Denver today, a high of 74 degrees. That's nearly 15 degrees above average, and even for Chicago, lower 70s, 73 for Little Rock, even Boston today in the upper 60s. This warm air, it's great news. It's going to stay in place for your weekend, and you can expect a lot of sunshine even for Washington, D.C. Saturday afternoon, we're in the lower 70s. This is kind of where we're seeing a pattern of a risk of some fire danger across the mountainous areas of the Northwest. That's a look at the big weather story of the day. Here's a closer look at your day ahead. Our temperatures across Charleston today, upper 60s. We're in the lower 70s for Richmond, a ton of sunshine. And this is record-breaking heat that we continue to see for the Plains, Minneapolis today, upper 60s. We'll talk about that rainfall for the Northwest coming up.
All right, Janessa, thank you.
There is a new 007 on the silver screen, and she's making history. Lashana Lynch confirmed in an interview her character in No Time to Die will be the first black female 007 in the franchise's history. Lynch is known for her role in Captain Marvel, and she said that she's reminding herself that she's part of something that'll be very, very revolutionary.
I shall kick some butt to doing it. Oh, it's still ahead. You are getting the best. SNL announces its show-stopping musical guest.
And the X Factor in Florida for President Trump, the big swing for Latino voters. Next.
So this election has shattered records when it comes to voter turnout, and especially in battleground states like Florida. Latino voters appear to be making a big difference. NBC's Kerry Sanders is on the ground for us in Miami.
President Trump's supporters of Miami's Little Havana celebrating after the president snagged an even bigger win in Florida than in 2016, largely thanks to strong support among Latinos, nearly doubling his vote totals in heavily Cuban-American Miami-Dade County.
Joe Biden es el candidato del castrochavismo.
Trump's campaign effectively likening Biden to Cuba's Fidel Castro and Venezuela's Hugo Chavez.
Our ancestors fled communist regimes, so we were not going to take any of the lies that Biden and his party were offering.
I think the two words socialism and communism in the Hispanic community mean the same thing. It's frightening, it's dictatorial, and it cost Biden.
Political consultants say the Biden campaign should have more effectively disputed that socialist label.
Is there a lesson to future candidates about the Latin vote?
I feel like the Biden campaign did what they needed to do at the bare minimum. These community groups in Florida told me they've had more money than they had ever dealt with, but they got it all in the last 3 weeks. That's the problem.
Too late.
Too late.
Joe Biden underperforming in other states too, like Texas, where in the largest Hispanic county, he won by just 5 points. Hillary Clinton had won by 60. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeting, the results sound the alarm about Democratic vulnerabilities with Latinos, and that effort hasn't been put in.
A warning to all politicians, ignore the Latino. Vote at your own peril. Kerry Sanders, NBC News in Miami's Little Havana.
Up next, all is fair in love, war, and politics. Politicians get a chance to roast themselves.
And live from New York, it's Dave Chappelle. All the hype of this weekend's SNL.
Bernie Sanders seems like the type of guy who'd return a single piece of fruit to Walmart and hold up the line for an hour. Well, not quite, but I do hope that the workers in Walmart can eventually earn a living wage with decent benefits.
Elizabeth Warren is what happens when Jan Brady grows up.
Mayor Pete looks like Howdy Doody, if Howdy Doody was a narc.
I miss seeing those. Those are so funny. And he, Pete Buttigieg kind of does look like that.
Yeah, and crazy to see those faces, right, coming back at us at this time.
Yeah, if Biden wins, I'm pretty sure we're going to see those faces again and again. Live from New York, Dave Chappelle is back.
I'm wishing Donald Trump luck, and I'm going to give him a chance. And we, the historically disenfranchised, demand that he give us one too.
That moment, that was exactly 4 years ago, immediately following the 2016 election that saw Donald Trump defeat Hillary Clinton to become the nation's 45th president. And in 2 days, Dave Chappelle will return to host SNL with musical guest the Foo Fighters. It'll be live coast to coast this Saturday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Dave Chappelle, a lot of people, he's appointment viewing. I mean, he has something to say, people listen, and he was, kind of telling the country what to make of what happened 4 years ago, and I'm sure he's going to try to do the same, although we're not really sure what to make of it.
No, but that's the crazy thing. Think of the world that we were living in 4 years ago, and then the world we're living in now. So
yeah, a lot of uncertainty comes to that. But Foo Fighters too. That's going to be pretty dope.
Still ahead, how markets are reacting to the election uncertainty.
And as ballot counting continues in key battleground states, we'll have an update on the numbers from MSNBC's Ali Velshi.
Good morning, friends. This is much needed rain for the Northwest. We do have a small risk for some fire dangers for Southern California. It's going to be wiping that out due to the rainfall that we're going to see for coastal areas of Washington to Oregon, potential of 2 to 3 inches. Guys.
All right, Janessa, thank you. The surprising reaction on Wall Street to this election cliffhanger we got going on. That's next here on Early Today for Thursday.
On Wall Street, a strong post-election rally on the hopes that the outcome of the presidential election would be decided soon. The Dow is up 367 points, the S&P rose 74, and the Nasdaq added 430. Right now, Dow futures are up over 250 points as investor optimism extended into after-hours trading.
We are still awaiting vote results from a handful of battleground states at this hour. Let's bring in MSNBC's Ali Velshi, who is at the big board for us this morning. Hey, Ali, good morning. So what are the numbers telling us?
Good morning, Philip. Good morning, Francis. Let's look at this. We need 270 electoral votes to win. Right now, Joe Biden has 253. Donald Trump has 214. And these gray places on the map are the ones we do not have complete results for. So let's just go through them very quickly. Alaska has mostly mail-in ballots, so we're not going to see those for a while. But the expectation is it'll likely go Republican. Right now, Joe Biden is leading in Arizona. I will say, as reports are coming in, his lead is shrinking. But for the moment, we're going to put that in Joe Biden's column. Nevada also leading Democratic. You can see that just Nevada and Arizona get Joe Biden to 270. But just let's take those out of the mix for the moment while they're undecided. We've got Georgia. We're still waiting for votes for. Both Democrats and Republicans are hopeful about it. If you put that into Joe Biden's column, it gets him to 269, so he needs to win something else. North Carolina, we have not got all the votes counted yet in North Carolina, and they've told us we won't get them till November 12th or something, so we don't know where that goes. And, of course, the big one right now is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, in fact, let me just take you in there for a second to show you what it looks like. Pennsylvania right now, 89% of the vote is in, but we're still expecting more than 800,000 votes right now. Donald Trump is leading marginally, 164,000 votes. They've claimed victory in Pennsylvania. The issue is that there are outstanding votes in Allegheny County, which is Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia County and the surrounding counties, which is Philadelphia. So that is what we're waiting for. There are currently a few paths of victory possible for Joe Biden. There are 3 ways that Donald Trump can win, and that's what we're waiting for.
Oh, well, we thank you for the breakdown, especially at this hour, to clear our minds and a better understanding of it.
Happy to have you with us, Ali. Appreciate you guys. All right, so it looks like, among all.
Question. Want a free guitar? Yeah, you heard me right.
Эй, что такое? Зачем открывать почту?